Day 8 will be mainly a driving date. We'll leave Tuba City, drive over to Monument Valley, then drive over to Four Corners before ending up in Cortez for the night. We'll have crossed 4 states and over 200 miles by the time we get in tonight, and we'll get in fairly early. First up, we'll drive across the plains to Monument Valley. Most of what we'll be driving in for the early part of today is going to be in Navajo Indian Reservation territory. As you can see on the Indian reservation, there's sparse housing and lots of open territory for people to ride in and graze their cattle in. As we drive along, we start to see many interesting rock formations, as these rocks that seem to be just stood up on end. And also, if you'll notice here as we zoom in on this cave, there seems to be a cave dwelling within this. Maybe this is one of the pueblos. We'll be seeing those much more tomorrow. You see it right there on the left side. El Capitan is the first of the peaks that we will see that are called the monuments out in this area. I don't have any warning signs. Look at that. Scenic road, what do you think so? Monuments. Here looks familiar too. There's hopefully some good pictures of it. We now get our first distant view of Monument Valley and its iconic peaks that many people recognize. We cross the border into Utah and pull into the visitor center so we can stop and get some good pictures. Then we're back on the road again and getting ready to pull into the Navajo Indian Park at Monument Valley. This valley is a little over a mile high and covers 91,000 acres and is sacred to the Navajo Indians. We'll be visiting 2 Navajo Indian parks today, Monument Valley and then Four Corners. As you can see from this picture, Monument Valley straddles the Utah-Arizona border. We will actually be driving from Utah back into Arizona to get to the Visitor Center. And from the Visitor Center here, we'll be able to see the iconic peaks that are in this area, and especially those in this area. Later we'll drive a little bit down into the valley to look at that trail too. We will start at the Navajo Welcome Center, gift shop, and it's also a hotel sitting up on the cliffs with spectacular views. Out in front they have some sweat lodges, so you can see what those would be like for the Navajo Indians today. This is one of those areas where people recognize from many movies: How the West Was Won, The Modern Lone Ranger, Back to the Future 3, Stagecoach, Forrest Gump, and many more. In the 1930s, Joseph Munch started taking pictures here, and they were so spectacular that when John Ford saw them, he decided to direct his first cowboy movie here called Stagecoach. Since then, many movies have been filmed here by John Wayne and others. Many modern movies have also had this as part of theirs, including the Griswolds' Wreck and Vacation, Back to the Future 3, Car Chase, and the opening of Disney's new Lone Ranger have all been filmed here. The mesas are between 400 and 1,000 feet high, and as you can see, as they erode away, they leave a mound around them. And this is the iconic place for westerns to be filmed. Rocks like the fingers on the mittens, and also this, are called chimneys as they stand off by themselves. The rainstorms that hit the park wash through it, creating arroyos like this one. And here's the iconic picture of the West, the mittens and other buttes of Monument Valley. There's a 17-mile dirt road through the valley called Valley Drive, and we're going to drive a little bit of it, but our low-clearance rental car isn't going to make it very far. Deborah caught a picture of a cactus in bloom, and of course we have to shop for Hopi dolls. And then it's time to leave the park and head to Four Corners. We'll be driving around the northern side of the Monument Valley for quite some time, so we'll get many different views from a distance of the valley. On the way out, there's some more buttes: Mitchell Butte, and also what they call Gray Whiskers Butte. I guess it's just old.
Older than the tree, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. All my memories, they gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water.
This view from the northern side may look familiar to you if you've seen Forrest Gump. This is where Forrest has been running across the country many times, finally stops, turns around to the people and says, "I'm going home." And so this is where he quit his cross-country running. As we head on around the park, we see some highly unusual mountains. They look like purple and gray, white swirls. Not really sure how these are made. They were obviously sediment layers laid down at one time, but obviously have been tilted and twisted around in various shapes.
In the morning hour she calls me, the radio.
And now it's time to cross the San Juan River at Mexican Hat. No, we're not in Mexico. We're still in Utah.
Yesterday, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
Here we get a little bit better look at those swirls of various colors and how they're twisted and contorted. And this is why it's called Mexican Hat. People think looks like a sombrero upside down sitting on top of this rock formation.
West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Down country roads, take me home. Down country roads.
Now we head on across southern Utah, headed to the Four Corners area. In the distance, we get to see the snow-covered Rocky Mountains. We'll be up there visiting them in the future. The wind has been blowing all day and tumbleweed is blowing everywhere, as you can see from this. And also the dust is blowing pretty well also. Drive through clear air for a while, and then we're heading into a dust storm again. We headed into several of them while we were on this trip. Now we leave southern Utah and head into New Mexico. We'll also be in Arizona. We'll also be in Colorado. In fact, we'll be in 4 states because we're at Four Corners Navajo Park. This is the last of our Navajo parks for today. We'll have some more near the end of the trip. But as you can see, it's located right where 4 states come together. And there's a marker here. We'll be here for a little bit just looking. Here you can go to Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico without moving but a few feet at a time. And this is the exact point where they come together. Of course, it's all part of the United States. And so Deborah visits each one in rapid succession before standing in all of them. You can see from the flags how high the wind is here. It's blowing everything around. There's areas surrounding it where Navajo Indians can set up selling their crafts, but right now there are very few doing it because it is the off season. But we'll be eating Navajo fry bread here and do a little shopping. Lila's parents said I couldn't bring home this axe, so we got her some hair things instead. And around this area is some of those beautiful places in the Painted Desert area. Now it's time to take off on our last leg of our trip. We'll be heading into Colorado and spending the night there at Cortez.
Welcome to colorful Colorado.
It was interesting to me on this clear day with just a few clouds how the clouds played such a key role in what the landscape looked like. If you'll notice this butte here as we drive along it, the clouds are covering it and it's foreboding, but then as it comes out into the sunlight, we have the beautiful, inviting butte. And now we pull into Cortez for the night, but we're able to look around a little bit before it gets dark. And now as the sun starts to set on the mountains, we come to the end of day 8 and quality end in Cortez.